Let's move on to our fourth panel discussion of the day, which is equally enthusiastic, equally learning for all the people out there who are joining us right away. So, the next panel discussion's name is Building Big Business. The topic is Building Big Business. So, just imagine, as the words itself are telling us, to be onto our toes and a person with mission and dreams, this is definitely for you. So, to everyone, what exactly building big business topic means? Building a big business is always a dream of every startup entrepreneur. Yes, of course, a woman is no exception to that. Take the simplest example of Lichat Papad. I hope all of you are familiar with this brand. It was found way back in 1959 by seven Mumbai based women with the need and desire to create employment opportunities for their fellow women. Today, it is $109 million business with diverse product lines. It makes it very clear that if a woman desires to ride in front of the seat of the business, she can very well do that. There are many women led wonderful businesses in India today, and women are leading in every sector, area of business too. To put a perspective in the right direction, we have with us CA Amisha Vora, Miss Tanuja Gomes, and Miss Poornima Shenoy with us today to share their journey, their experiences with us. May I take this honor to introduce our speakers now before they take up the discussions ahead. So our first panelist is Amisha Vora. Amisha Vora is a joint managing director and key shareholder at Prabhudas Lilladher Group. That is www, if you want to search about them, .plindia.com, and a well-respected opinion maker in the equity markets. She is one of the leading women entrepreneurs in India today and is regularly featured on leading business channels like CNBC, ET Now, etc. for her views and insights. Through sheer hard work and determination, she has established herself in the male-dominated industry of financial services. She took charge of Prabhudas Lilladher's retail division in 2012 and has since strengthened its presence in key markets and enhanced the quality of advisory services, resulting in a CAGR of 23.5% in the top lines. Under her leadership, the company has received one of the most respected brands from Asia Awards 2 times in a row, which is commendable, Amisha. Recent awards are Top 100 Women in Finance 2020 by Association of International Wealth Management of India, that is AIWMI. She has been a wonderful support to Team Mentor My Board for the past 1.5 years. So we welcome you, Amisha Vora. Our second panelist is Poornima Shenoy. Poornima is non-executive independent director on the boards of Dixon Technologies, NSEIT, and Padget Electronics. She is a part of the strategy, nomination, and remuneration and audit committees here. She has passed the certifying examination of IICA. She is CEO of Hummingbird Advisors, where she works with young companies to help them scale up and gain funding. She has been an entrepreneur, having co-funded and exited an HR firm Nexus, an ed tech company Latitude, and an accelerator The Game. We welcome you. We have Tanuja Gomes. Tanuja is a seasoned banking professional and has contributed 16 years working for multinational banks like HSBC and Barclays in India and Singapore in leadership positions. Her experience includes working as a wealth management professional across various functions and geographies. After her long stint in the banking industry, she was driven to live her passion of setting out to be an entrepreneur. With all her experience, understanding the divide of organized music education for music and need to contribute to the society led to the foundation of Furtados School of Music in 2011. The vision behind FMS is to offer universal access to quality music education. FSM taught over 150,000 students across 200 plus schools, 15 centers across 18 cities. It has built one of the largest ecosystem in the space in music education, making it more mainstream and accessible. One of the largest, fastest growing vertical has been the online learning vertical, that is Furtados School Music Buddy. Now, I now may I request Amisha ma'am to take over the session.
Thank you, Manisha, for a wonderful introduction to each of us. And of course, thank you, Divya, and the whole team of Mentor My Board to organize such a beautiful event,
We
particularly for
can't hear
all the
you.
women directors and women entrepreneurs.
Amisha ma'am, we cannot hear you. Hello.
No, no, it's
Just,
audible. It's audible.
It's
Audible.
audible.
shall I continue?
Yes, go ahead.
And I welcome all of you participants for this session as well as for the day. And I hope you really gain a lot out of this time that you all are investing. I would like to share, to start with, a bit about my story. And then I would request each of the other participants or panelists also, to share their story. So, I am the one amongst the four daughters. And my father, frankly, wanted to educate all of us, but still somewhere was feeling that I have only daughters and I don't have a son. And that, as a daughter, I was always reading. And somewhere there started the seed of my believing that being a woman or man, being a daughter or a boy, makes no difference. So by the time I was 21, I was a professional degree holder chartered accountant. Also to say that my family environment was something which was very uh, soft, nice, but to the point. And to the point means that we can donate whatever. But since you've got the books, why should you have extra study material? Why should you have any tuitions? If you want to study, the books are there. So stick to the basics and do if you want to do. And accept that when I got CA, final professional degree, that my father said, very good. Throughout the school and college career, even if I was first class first, my father said, good, good, you passed. So never a pressure was created on us to perform, but always we were taught that you do whatever you do with full attention and perfection and with your liking. And there I start my journey with, in those days, as a research analyst with India's foremost investment bank, JM Financial, in their portfolio management division. And the way I was, and I keep seeing some of my other chartered accountants who started their practice, who was into their father's business, and I started with a measly 1800 rupees a month salary. And every day evening, this was my topic in my mind. What to do next? How do I do better? After evaluating many, many things, by the time I think I was 23 and a half, I joined hands with a professional category chartered accountant who in those days had just received the stock exchange card membership of BSE. And with those just 2 years of my research experience, I was confident enough when India was opening. I don't know how, and it was genuine, but I was that, okay, I'll start for you the institutional business because I have the research background of, 2 years. And that's how we started for a newly formed professional category broker, the research. And in 91 or so, India had just opened up. So all the foreigners were also inclined to invest in India. But yes, one good thing was that my homework was always perfect. Even those days when I used to meet any client, I would have always studied entire balance sheet. Of course, being a chartered accountant and in financial markets, it starts and ends with numbers. So I would have studied all the balance sheet, his portfolio, my view on each and every point or stock of his portfolio. And there started my first journey of 6 years to build the institutional business. Even in those days at this platform, we used to deal with all the FIIs who entered India. Came a point where we felt that some of the larger FIIs wanted a slightly much stronger balance sheet. And that's when we merged with my current company, Prabhudas Lilladher. Prabhudas Lilladher is in business for more than 75 years. And they also wanted to consolidate further their institutional business and particularly FI business. So here we joined sometime in 1999. And come 2001-2, and India and world faced the challenges of the IFC Washington Tower. In India also, there were many other challenges of the future and option markets, future markets issues. And there was a complete collapse in business. So in 2003, after joining Prabhudas Lilladher, we came up with a situation that Prabhudas Lilladher felt we should stop this institutional business. Because by then we were a team of almost 30 IIT, MBA, IIMs, and it was a large desk which I was managing. And, I really feel very happy to share this, that those days, I don't know with whose advice, nobody's advice actually, I just told my then chairman and promoter that please don't shut this business. I'll make sure that you don't lose, because businesses and volumes had just shrunk. And then I sat with the team and I said, look, of course, I was the highest earner. I said, I am taking a 70% cut in my salary. You all decide what is affordable to you. We come to a cost which our 70% fallen business has reached as an income, and then we put in the effort. But with that gesture, which just came, everybody took some or other cut. We came to a particular level of salary, which was allowing us to float. You won't believe, from that 2003-4, when we did this, our institutional brokerage had just fallen to 90 lakhs. From that 90 lakhs in 2007-8, which was, of course, supported by extremely good international markets, domestic markets. That year we did 110 crores of business in 2008-9. Yes. And because we sacrificed so much, I had arrived at a type of sharing arrangement with the PL owners, that I'll manage the expenses within a particular thing, and something will, of course, as a percentage sharing, belong to me. Now that sharing became so big that my company's net worth would have been impacted. So against that, I was given a 24% equity stake. And that's how I am a co-owner in this company. But just to tell you, during those 2003 to 2009-10 period, I hope I'm not exceeding my time. I'll take just one more minute. We were servicing all the FIIs, be it in US, Europe, Singapore, Hong Kong. And my mindset was that if my Washington client gives me an appointment day after, I'll work full day, I'll come to home, pack my bag, whatever, and take a flight that night itself. So I never say a no to a client. Somehow I had that kind of a mindset. And that helped also. And 15 to 18 days out of 22 working days, I would travel. Of course, it requires a huge support from family. But what it sacrificed during this period was my complete social life. I would remaining time give to my son. And as the journey progressed, then, and as the corpus remained in the company, we floated investment banking company, an NBFC. And then came the time when this retail business of Prabhudas Lilladher, which when I took over was, of course, a loss-making business, but also had a team of about 30-40 people and nominal top line of about 10-12 crores. Today, as I see, I'm 110 crore, surprisingly again in my retail business, with a team of more than about 400 people. So this is how the journey is. It's not that it's been all good. Some of my contemporaries have done phenomenally and much better. So I know somewhere in this journey, I have missed out also a few strategic points. But yes, it has been a very satisfactory journey. And as we move forward into question and answers, I'm sure we will share a little more. Thank you so much for this patient hearing. And I request Poornima to take us through her journey.
Thanks, Amisha. To follow you, but I shall try. So thanks, Divya, Neha, and team for putting this all together. And my special thanks to Nilesh Vikamse, who was so kind enough to recommend me as a speaker for this event. As Manisha had introduced earlier, I'm the founder and CEO of Hummingbird Advisors. We are a boutique consulting firm based in Bangalore, and we work with young companies to take them through their growth journey, and most often than not, to the funding story too. And surprisingly, I'm working with a lot of women entrepreneurs because I think they see an empathy and an understanding which is not easy to get. So also, besides running my own business, I do pro bono work with two enterprises. One is Bombay-based Aspire for Her, which focuses on building a community for young women. And the second is GAME, the Global Accelerator for Mass Entrepreneurship, which focuses on women businesses, women-led non-tech businesses, women enterprises, which is headquartered at Bangalore. In my experience of over 30 years, there never was a question whether I should work or not work, or have a career or not. So I come from a family of very strong women. My grandmother went to college. My mother is a mathematician. My younger sister is a PhD in electronics and works at Intel. My daughter is an interaction designer. So, men are also good, but the women, I think, are phenomenally good. So the option of, what should I do doesn't matter. How am I going to do it is the question.
Lovely.
I have been an entrepreneur, something which I never thought when I was in MBA school. I thought I'll go and join one company and spend the rest of my life working there. But I've been an entrepreneur thrice over. I worked with corporates. I've also been the founding president and the first woman to head a trade body, the India Electronics and Semiconductor Association, and been heavily involved in public policy over several years. But the one thing which I wanted to share is women can really learn. So when I worked at Ranjan Pai's Manipal Group, I had the opportunity of being an observer and sit in on board meetings, prepare a lot of marketing and strategy presentations for the board, where we had phenomenal people like Professor Jagdish Seth and Vinod Dham. And when you present to them, there is so much of a learning that you take away and which gets sort of embedded in you. And I think somewhere along the way, that learning really helps. So, one thing I would tell young women who aspire to grow is learn to be an observer. You can learn so much by just sitting in the room with people who have great thought processes. I started my board journey about 7 to 8 years ago. And today I sit on 4 boards. 2 of them are in the electronics manufacturing space. One of is a public limited company. The other 2 are in the IT space. One of them is not formally out yet, so it's not been named till now. I find that I'm able to make my contribution by sitting on the NRC, that's the Nomination and Remuneration Committee, the Strategy Committee, and the Audit Committee. I mean, I'm not a chartered accountant, and I think every single meeting I learn from the CAs, and my respect for them goes up every day. Because they know so much, it's like being a doctor. You have to be keeping on knowing more and more and more. So I sit on these committees, and I think I contribute. The management and the rest of the board members also contribute in their own way. So one thing in my journey, and I'm taking from where Amisha said, is I've also not been in this thing of comparing myself to others, whether it's my batchmates, men or women, or what are they earning, what am I earning. And I think as women, we all have a different journey. I mean, I want to balance my family. I love my family. I also love my work. So am I going to compromise on anything? No. But I think along the way, we learn how to give 200%. And I don't think this is unique to me. I find any woman who has achieved something has struggled so hard and worked so hard to get where she has. So I also speak at a lot of international and domestic events, especially on entrepreneurship, women role models, and on the India story. But the last 1 year, of course, has been limited to my drawing room with my puja room behind me and Zoom, of course. So the things that I believe in very, very strongly are hard work. There is really no substitute for hard work. And I think Amisha has said it, every time you're down, you cannot take it lying down. You cannot keep on climbing. There will be steps where you fall back. So hard work cannot be substituted. The other thing that I believe implicitly in is honesty, whether it's in the professional workspace or in personal relationships. We have only one life, and I think this current COVID has stressed it again and again that we should do what we believe in very firmly. So I think honesty is very important, and fairness. It's not about being good; it's about being fair. If you are fair to others and to ourselves, then we can all be happy. And I think the mantra today is how can we be happy? That is the simple mantra that I'm going to carry for the remaining part of my life. Happiness in a good way. So I'm really looking forward to speaking on this session with Tanuja and Amisha, because they bring different perspectives, and I think I'm going to learn from them. And I think we should have good questions, and I request Divya, please get us good questions after we have spoken. Thank you so much.
Lovely.
Yes, sure.
Tanuja, will you please?
Yes, lovely. I must say, it was so inspiring to hear about both of y'all. Amisha, Poonam, it's genuinely, I think we all learn from each other. If you look at, I feel all of y'all rightly said that the women in a house have somewhere are role models. Okay. I must say that likewise for me, my mother, so raised by a single mom, and Guju, so traditionally her vision was that science karna hai, find a right Guju guy. And typically that's what, her wish was that to start with. But at the same time, she was an extremely hardworking woman. She continues still to inspire me. And that's the seed that she sowed. And about taking chances. So to add to what you all are saying, so my background is I'm a chemistry graduate. After finishing my graduation, I did a temp job with Citibank, just post the Harshad Mehta scam. So I was a part of the whole AFA department, where they were actually going through contract notes, and I had zero background in finance. Okay. A dear friend, Jatin Lodaya, in fact, who Divya also knows well, and he was an auditor with KPMG, and he would be there. But I just got mesmerized with the world of finance. So that's where my first chance of moving from complete science background into finance. And from then I got a lot of opportunities. And I think the reason I got my opportunities is because of hard work. So in spite of being a temp, I used to work till 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the night, and just doing complete gadagiri, like going through contract notes. In those days, they were transfer these contract notes and that entire process. After that, started a beautiful journey of finance, taking chances. I was heading HSBC's business of wealth, did a global portfolio in Singapore, and loved every moment of it. I must say that. It's just that during all those chances, and when you see a different world, you start questioning that what is the impact that I'm bringing. I think that's something that has always been my necessity. That while okay, I did very well, you were heading, but I just felt that where is the impact that I'm bringing, and I couldn't find easy answers. At that point of time in Singapore, I joined a piano learning class along with 7 and 8-year-olds, and the whole influence of music and how music can impact, and the kind of impact it can live with an individual for the rest of their lives is something I saw firsthand. Furtados is also my husband's family. So, I come from that whole 16 years, 18 years, working in the corporate world. This was a family business. I would always come back and tell the family, okay, why don't you all do this? Why don't you all do that? This is such a beautiful space for us to do something. And they were inspired, but they were mainly inspired to do something in philanthropy. So I, from the outskirts, started giving a lot of views saying how you can corporatize this. The beautiful transition happened, when a dear friend of mine, Dharani Upadhyay, with whom I worked in Barclays, both of us ideated a lot. And during those ideation is when we came that why don't we all together run it and we take another chance? I always wanted to do entrepreneurship. Why not this? Because it achieves the core purpose of bringing impact. Started that journey. I want to tell everybody who's looking at an entrepreneurship journey, whatever business models you make, I assure you they will not work. And it works. It is one in a million. It's like winning that $1 million lottery, okay? Because there are lots of things. It's like it's driving a car without petrol, without it's everything that is there in terms of going wrong will go wrong. So we put up that model, and from there we kept on innovating. I mean, I am very proud to say that we are the only company in India which has a proposition for a 2-year-old child, which has a proposition for a 70-year-old child. We are the only people who has technology embedded. I've been extremely passionate about technology, okay? And every idea of mine would have technology. And how we have used technology in scaling music is something that I feel, and my team, we all feel very proud of. The last year when COVID hit us, frankly, we were looking at setting up and launching an online business from 2019. I've tried that business 3 years back. We got some senior person and I said, we must only do online. But it never worked because consumers, so for example, this whole entire seminar and web like this, we would have never dreamt of, right? We would have never thought 2 years back, this can also work. Like that, both teachers and our consumers never really settled with this online learning. I must say internationally, it is doing very well. So there is a company in China, VIP Pillion, which does 50,000 online classes per day.
Wow.
And that is the company, that model I studied and understood 2 years back. And I said, how can we get there? But still, there was a lot of resistance from our teachers, from our customers. So when COVID hit us, frankly, I was like one excited child saying that COVID to theek ho jayega, but I didn't expect it itna chalega. I must confess. I thought 3 mahine, 6 mahine mein ho jayega. Let me get as many consumers and teachers trained with this format. So in fact, in April, we would have done about 25,000 free classes for everybody because I wanted our teachers to get familiar. It's not easy. See, as an artist, you also have your mindset, you also have your virtues, the purity part. They always felt that this is not that pure. And transitioning from that to making a teacher realize you are delivering a message, whether it is online or whether it is offline, it's how that delivery works more crisply. So that's that. So from there on, we've done over 200,000 hours of teaching online. Teachers who lost, we had 320 people on our roles, and our revenue became zero because we were a completely offline business. 200 schools, everybody. So March, April were the toughest months because zero revenue. And, you have these people, 200 teachers, how we managed them to take same amount and even more has been through this online transition. I personally also gone through this fundraise, which I know women entrepreneurs struggle. So I've been part of the women entrepreneurship with CII, IWN and these forums. I feel I want to tell women, the biggest challenge we have is ourselves. Sometimes to be very ambitious, we are very defensive. And I would tell every woman, it's okay to be ambitious. It's okay to fail. We take a male entrepreneur who wants to build a unicorn. And if the person is achieved or not achieved, we are ready to accept that. Why can't we accept that from ourselves? And if someone asked me, I think the biggest hurdle that I faced from outside has been to accept my own ambition. People throw back. I mean, when you go for when you go and pitch to investors' perspective, for a woman entrepreneur, the questions that are given are very different than a male entrepreneur. And there's a lot of science. I mean, there are only 3% women-run entrepreneurs who get funding. So that says a lot about what happens in that space. But having said that, what passion, commitment, integrity, which, all of you all beautifully covered, that something cannot be replaced. I feel that a woman entrepreneur builds business from long-term perspective for all its stakeholders, starting with its student. I mean, for me, it's student, for our customers, then our employees. So that whole true to itself of building a family is there. So yeah, I think what worked for me is I have complete Kiragiri. I always tell people if that's one thing. And second is in my previous birth, I was a Gada. I think I can't not work for 12 hours. I'm sure both of you all can relate to that. And I think all our listeners, there is no substitute to hard work. It looks very rosy from outside. An entrepreneur's journey, all of us sitting here looks very nice, but you have to go through personally and professionally a lot of compromises to reach where we are. So yes, in brief, my journey.
Excellent. So happy to hear the concept of living and leading and spreading happiness from Poornima, and the concept of creating impact while you are spreading happiness and growing. Phenomenal two concepts which came out. I take this opportunity to, learn from both of you. And since this is the forum where we have to learn how to build big business, right? So let me go over to Poornima first and ask my first query. Poornima, being on the board of some of such large companies and also having your own journey, what would you say is most critical in scaling the business? As what Tanuja is saying, capital? Or is it an idea, product, or service? Or the team? Or in any order that you want to explain as to what is so critical in scaling the business?
Thanks, Amisha. It's a good question. And I think it boils down to the vision of the founder, where he wants to go and how he wants to take that company. Like Tanuja said, you start with a business model, but after some time you realize you have to scrap it and start it all over again. And I think every big entrepreneur has done it, led with a vision, and has been able to sell that vision to a core team that is going to support him and help him grow. You need money, of course, and I think everybody needs good working capital. I keep talking about this word working capital everywhere because the dearth of working capital is killer for a lot of young companies. So I think having strong financials and good working capital is like the backbone of a business. Of course, you need most important products and services that the customers want. A lot of companies fail because they come up with this terrific product that nobody wants. We see a lot of product entrepreneurs who keep on making, version 2, version 3 without ever going to market and validating it. So you need products and services that the market wants. But things that will take any business and help it to grow, and this is what I have seen from extraordinary entrepreneurs, is strong business practices. I mean, let's look at companies like Infosys, for example. These are entrepreneurs who started from scratch, first generation entrepreneurs, who built something with very sound business practices and invested a lot into getting good people on board. The other thing is getting good advisors, whether it is your board or whether it is advisors outside. Advisors are important because it's like holding up a mirror and they can point out where you can go wrong. Of course, you need a good market environment. I always say this, you suddenly had DMAT and you had Paytm, which just flourished overnight. I mean, that's a miracle shot. But you also need a market environment to help you grow. Today, for example, the government of India is encouraging electronics manufacturing with a lot of financial and other support. So this is a good time for companies in electronics manufacturing to grow. And of course, they should be able to scale up. Indian companies need to scale up. I mean, that should be the mantra. Sometimes we see this great biscuit bakery in Pune, which takes great pride in saying, I'm a standalone unit. That's fine, but that's not about scaling. So how do we scale up? And I think the Americans do this exceedingly well, and we have learned and adapted. How can we scale up our businesses? How do we get our backbone? How do we get the people? How do we get processes? How do we do the right regulatory and business stuff? And make sure that the environment also supports it. So in a capsule, I would say this is what might work.
Thank you. Tanuja, since you yourself has really scaled your own business from maybe no school to couple of schools to 200 schools, what really went in scaling the business? And what What did you learn out of this journey of scaling your own business? And what would you advise?
First thing is dream or scale and think of number which scares even you. So I still remember pitching the first time to my investor, Deepak Shedatpuri, DSG. And at that point of time, I said, we will have 50,000 students. Okay. I mean, we were not even like 500 and 50,000 students learning music. So at that point of time, it sounded just too ridiculously big. And of course, he got inspired and he bought into that vision. So I think first is vision is very important. All right. I was also thinking about this question that what is important? Is it like money or is it hiring and its processes? I think the answer is chicken and egg. Okay. A child needs both. Frankly, if you have no money, if I wouldn't have an investor who backed me, all this dream would have been very theoretical. Okay. But if I didn't have a dream and the conviction that we can do it, then we would have not had the money. Okay. So I know a dear friend, woman entrepreneur who came from Singapore here and spent about 6 years trying to raise money, building a business, and finally she went back. It's not easy. It's like your child, it's like we get too consumed by it. It's not easy. And I think it's okay. I mean, it's easy for me to say that right now, but I don't know what's my journey going to be in the next 10 years. Let's accept it. We don't know. Anything can go right and anything can go wrong. So I feel money is important. Let's get real. And you can't hire. The biggest challenge that companies like us face is that we can only spend this much and that kind of salary. Vis-a-vis when I used to work in HSBC, I knew that my head of ops would come with that pedigree, could manage everything. Everything comes back to an entrepreneur. Everything. So you're a peon to leke, you're a head of finance to leke, everything. So, and you could also make mistakes. I think my biggest worry is always, and that's where Poornima's point about advisors, I think that's very, very important. Because you need somebody who will come and tell you that, look, you're going right here or you're going wrong there. So to surround yourself. So Poornima is absolutely right to find the right advisors whom you can go to and share that, boss, this is where I think I'm weak. You can't sometimes do that transparently to a lot of people. So first, money is real, money chahiye. No business can scale. You can get your team, your passion, you can build that. You're blessed if you find both at the right time, like we did. And, from there are the processes. And therefore, continuous calibration as a leader with the new journey. Like I didn't know anything about tech. Genuinely, I didn't know. So I think calibrating yourself with reality and learning that. I've joined so many courses on Coursera to learn about products and tech.
Wow.
It's only because of, you have to calibrate where you are today.
Excellent. Superb. I'll just add one more point from my side on this.
Yes.
That, having vision is, of course, the first starting point, and put that passion to make your vision work. But as you start walking on the road of your vision, I thought that one very critical and important thing is to each and every member of your team also to start seeing the same dream and same vision. When they start coming on the same platform of the vision and the road that we are walking together, it's not that only one mind, two eyes, and two hands are working to achieve the dream or the vision. It's that the whole gang is there to achieve the dream. And in that journey, what really happens, which we don't realize, most of the time I feel that the one which is at the very last mile brings the best of the insights. So I feel that while you want to really scale big, it's very important to keep interacting, of course, at the board, but also with your HOD. And I always make a practice that whenever I have a very brainstorming kind of a session, I keep for that department even the last mile person. So not only I discuss at one level, I keep the whole team together so that they know what I want to do, why I want to do, why should we do it this way, why should we not do it this way. At the same time, I get course corrections by getting the feedback on the ground, because I might be in my one thoughts to achieve something, but devoid of reality, because they are the ones who are facing clients day to day. They are the ones who are probably facing technology day to day. So I think that continuous interaction and making your team also dream along with you is also one very critical part of scaling big. Uh, with that, I would also like to now get more insights from Purnima. And Purnima, can you just share us? You know, it ultimately boils down to the fact that this forum is for women director. It's not for directors, which means that as women, uh, of course, still we are bucketed somewhere separately.
Yeah.
Having said that, what advantages as women director you think we bring on the board as independent directors or as entrepreneurs themselves? And if at all you think that we bring any disadvantage, if so, what would you advise? That how should one learn to play on their strengths? Because all these are budding women entrepreneurs or budding women independent directors. So your advice will be very critical for them.
Thanks, Amisha. I'm also waiting to ask you both a particular question, which I'll come to after this. I think it's a great initiative that, we are proactively getting women onto boards. Okay, and I don't think it's a concession or it needs to be a reservation. Women bring different perspectives and we all know it. And I was seeing recently data which said that banks with women directors face fewer and far less fines for misconduct. And this is a global phenomenon. Also, we've seen this happening all the time. And I think, this should become more and more, and not, I don't want to see, somebody else said 17% of companies on NSE have a women director. I said tomorrow it should be 70%, not 17%. It's a very sad statistic. But more important than that, I think is once you are on a board, it really doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. You have worked so hard, you worked 20 years, 30 years to reach here. And this is not a point about sitting back and enjoying it and saying, sab kuch ho gaya hai, abhi hum relax karenge. It is about continuing the same passion, the same fervor, the same professionalism that we have had. It's something else that women very much hesitate about. And that is, I think, appreciating themselves. We forever say, if I speak something good about myself, people will think I'm boasting. I think we should learn from men on that. Men are so good at projecting their strengths. Women should do that too. Why are we hesitating? And this would be I spent a large part of my career keeping quiet about my strengths because I thought people will misunderstand. But if I don't talk about myself, who's going to talk about it? Okay, so this is something I would tell younger women who are in the workforce. The other thing is that women get onto boards like men for various competencies, whether it's global markets, whether it's HR or it's technology or it's finance. But I think, women who have been there for a long time, like all of us and others who are listening in, are there, and I think the struggle has been greater, their efforts and work has been more, and I would say, I think we are really good to have got away. Let's boast about it. Okay, so women should not be overly modest. As an independent director, you will have to spend 3 to 5 hours per month, at least, understanding the companies, where they're heading. Just don't wait for the board meeting. Do the homework earlier, ask questions, so that at the board meeting, this can get addressed. So I don't see myself as a passive board member. I see myself as a hardworking, contributing board member. And the other takeaway is that there are others on the board from whom we can learn. I mean, they're extraordinary guys who have more experience, often more knowledge, and they have the humility to come down and share it. So learning and humility are key takeaways, what I have seen from the boards that I am on. Other thing, women need to network. Data says only 15% of board positions are secured by headhunters. You are going to get onto a board by the referrals and references and people who know you professionally. So women should network better. Finally, your net worth is your network. So I would say, yes, this is what women can focus on to get onto boards. Thank you.
Phenomenal advice. To the point. Tanuja, we would love to have your views also.
Lovely. So I feel, Poornima has beautifully covered a lot of these points. I won't elaborate. I feel clearly data proves that women-led companies do well. Their livelihood, they succeed longer. I feel what happens is sometimes we women, the voices we hear in our head, like, we have to understand everybody hears those voices. You just have to still go out and focus on your biggest voice, that you're there to be a champion. And you have to be your own, first of all, you have to be your own fan, so there will be, all of us will go through doubts and concerns, and we question, can I be a good women director? 10 years back, 15 years back, probably I would have said, mujhe nahi pata, I never thought of it, like I never thought that I can do all that, right? My mindset was just to dhanda karo, business karo, vaisa, probably. But in all of that is a strength. So I just want to add, since Poornima has beautifully covered a lot of data, I just want to add is, don't let all the negative voices. I just want to add one point. When we started pivoting online, the biggest thing that kept being thrown at me is that y'all are offline. Tum log ka DNA offline hai. Okay, and we have grown 200% from May 20 to May 21.
Wow.
So if my DNA was pura offline, all right, then how would I have grown? So I told this to my board at that point of time. Mujhe dhanda karna aata hai. Boss, I don't, that's the bottom line. I mean, I may not be able to throw and give you all those jargons and all of that, but I do understand what makes sense. What makes sense is my teacher has to be motivated, my student has to get best. That's about it. So I think for everybody that will be true. So have your aspirations and, don't let any noises to bring you down.
Absolutely.
Questions for both Amisha and Tanuja here.
Yes, Poornima.
Okay, since we have covered a lot and we should have, since we're speaking to a lot of younger people, so what would you advise a 25-year-old Amisha or a 25-year-old Tanuja? So let's look back in time and Amisha, then Tanuja.
Yes.
Frankly, if I have to reply, I have to ask myself, if somebody would have advised 25 years Amisha, other than her own inner voice, would she have listened to it? And the reply is absolute no. So I get guided by my inner voice. But today, definitely, I learned that having alongside an advisor, etc., would have helped. So I would say that sometime in my journey, I learned this, and now it's my very firm belief that shortcuts are the longest cuts. Shortcuts in terms of compliance, shortcuts in terms of policy matters, and shortcuts also in terms of sometimes not clarifying your position because of A, lack of time, B, fear of quarrel, C, being maybe judged as somebody who's having all the time different opinion. I think any of these shortcuts are the longest cuts, because as an organization, you won't be understood in the right way if there is any compliance issue. If there are policy issues, then employees will not be able to understand their positioning vis-a-vis others and you. And last but not the least, when you brush over some important topics because of, as what I said, fear of time being spent or being quarrel being raised, you keep a lot of unresolved things. And that unresolved things creates a lot of burden, and it just keeps pushing you back. So I will advise 25 years old Amisha for sure that whatever you do, do within the realm of compliance. And above all, if you have a particular way or opinion about things, invest time in making sure that others get it and do it that way. Just because you have little less time, don't accept and allow others to do things their way. Because, or you learn from them. It's not that you always do yourself, but you arrive at a thing. When you don't arrive at a thing, things sometimes become so much more bigger for you to resolve that it takes away much more time and energy than when you would have resolved when it was small. So this is my advice to myself. Thank you.
Tanuja.
Yeah, I feel, we've been brought up with a value system of not keeping finance and objective, about how. So, for example, asking your increment, asking your financial rewards to yourself. Amisha, I'm extremely proud that you could negotiate that 24%. Okay, I think more or less the women's value system. I don't know whether we or definitely mine. I think 25 years back, we avoid all those discussions. At every
So
level,
true.
whether it is a corporate world, whether it's your career, whether it's asking, even negotiating your valuation, all of those, I think we put, and women get into this fair. I feel there now, you have to think like a very hard nose if you required male entrepreneur. मुझे नहीं पता है possible है नहीं possible है, but this is one thing I would love to teach my daughter, to negotiate and understand that you can't. But what's given, वो पहला होता है, I'll give in myself, like absolutely. Even I, first thing is no salaries for 2 years. Yeah, we've cut our salaries. वो हो जाता है, that is right. But I sometimes think that, not it corporate wise, it doesn't work like that. We women think of it like that. So I would tell women, think like an entrepreneur, not like a female entrepreneur.
Yes.
Superb.
Yes. So I think, we don't have, I would have loved to understand insights from both of you all. This is becoming such an interesting conversation. But Divya is looking at us and say, boss, abhi, we have time dekhna hai, so we'll take the questions from the
I'll
audience.
tell you, the session has been so interesting that I feel we've already overshot the time, but I can see a lot of excitement when I'm seeing the participants. So there is one question which has come from participant for Tanuja is
Yes.
About those butterflies in the belly when you have taken your first investment. Was that a fear? How was that experience? In short, and then I have a question for Amisha as well, which has come from the participant.
Sure. So I just want to give you one example. It's like when you see a James Bond movie, it looks very sleek, it looks very nice, sexy from outside, but behind the scene, बहुत पिटता है. So frankly, all the butterflies, flies, all that worry is there. All that is there. Ki boss, I'm taking this. I have to scale it. I have to do all that. But outside there, you are very confident, and it is natural. Anybody, it is natural. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मतलब, I would much rather die knowing I did this and maybe failed or succeeded than not try at all.
Absolutely wonderful.
So true.
Yes. So absolutely true. So one question for Amisha ma'am is that how to think big and overcome the lack of confidence. I mean, I have seen you as one of the most confident person. So some quick tips on that, and again, yes, it comes from inside. So you have to be beautiful inside when you are confident outside, and I have seen that quality in you. So over to you.
Thank you. So I'll just share one thing. While I was giving my CA inter exam, for the second group, I had not prepared, but I had paid. And that was those days some 1,300 rupees. So my father said, you paid 1,300 rupees and you will not appear for exam. The money will go waste. What is it? Go and sit. So for that exam, which is company law and some other topics, I had to sit. Imagine a person who's always first class first has to sit with a fear that I will just fail because I'm not prepared for second group. But father ne bola to baithna hai. So then I found a way whereby in the company law book, full night, of course it was a full nighter, I went through the whole summary. Okay. Then that night though I was full day awake, paper theek gaya. Second day wapas full night mara and I worked. Third day I was not in a position to study, stay awake. And it was organization and management. And look at Amisha, what she tells herself. अरे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और मैनेजमेंट में क्या, किसी ने कभी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन मैनेज किया होगा तो सोचा होगा ना, तो मैं भी सोच के लिख दूंगी. Look at the confidence which comes from within. And I sit for the paper. I don't know what the author had to say about the subject. I put all my theories in that O&M paper's answer. And to my surprise, I cleared the group. What I'm trying to say is, yes, I cleared the group. What I'm trying to say is, as what very beautifully Tanuja said, keep a dream which you yourself think is just impossible. At the same time, tell yourself कि बॉस जब भी मैकडोनल्ड ने पहला एक बर्गर बनाया उसको मालूम था कि इतना सारा पूरा वर्ल्ड में मैकडोनल्ड का बर्गर का लगने वाला है, नहीं मालूम था. He also traveled along with the journey and found a way out. If somebody can find a way out, why can't I find a way out? What is so different in me than others? Whatever it comes, I'll find my way out. There is no answer like ये book में पढ़ा और इधर answer मिला ऐसा life में. There is nothing like that. So just be open. Just be open and live your dreams. I think that's the only way to overcome all the fears, because I can never guarantee that you will not fall. Yes, you will fall. So what? I'll get up. I'll do it again. That's my reply.
Amazing. Wonderful. Wonderful. So simply, with real example, you could actually navigate us through, that story. I mean, I could imagine, that entire scene, what you mentioned, and absolutely, absolutely wonderful. So indeed, great insights, wonderful interactions, and thank you for accepting our invitation. On behalf of Mentor My Board, I thank all of you for being here, sharing your stories, sharing your, the challenges, how you went through, the opportunities, how you grabbed them. So this was something wonderful. And again, yes, I understand from you all is one that you have to keep grabbing the opportunities to grow big. The opportunities keep coming way, just grab it. So absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for being here.